All right, everyone, here we go. I'm going to start with a Sharpie, but I would suggest starting with pencils if you have that at home. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to figure out where I want my owl's head to go. And I want to make sure I leave enough space on the page so that I can fill the whole page with my owl's body. So I made sure to put a round shape at the top half of my paper. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a line that's going to curve down towards the bottom left part of the paper. And this, if you can imagine, this is like the back of my owl, part of the wing. And I want it to look like my owl is turning its head to look at us. So I'm going to take another line that curves up and connects, and you can imagine that this would be my owl's chest. So the next thing I'm going to do is figure out where I want my owl's eyes to be. And I want my owl's eyes to be nice and big. So I did 2 circles or ovals, and then I'll put another circle right inside of them. And right now it kind of looks like cartoony eyes, which is okay. I think it's kind of fun to have it look like a cartoon owl. And then the beak is going to be a curve that goes down to the left and a curve that goes down to the right. So you can see I have now created the general shape of my owl's body, my owl's head, and my owl's face. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a line that is going to start like right above the owl's eyes, and it's going to curve over around the owl's beak and back up around the other eye to connect. Kind of like you're giving your owl a little face. So now I can figure out how I want to show the owl's wing. And like I said, I want my owl to be kind of looking like it's turning its head. So I'm going to take a line that curves from just below the owl's face all the way down to the tail. And in this area here, I'm going to start creating some feathers. And when I do these owl feathers, I'm making them really big because what I want to do is I'm actually going to take my time filling in each of these feathers with a different pattern or a different design. And I'll make one that goes right down here. So go down and up. And it's okay if some of your lines overlap because I'm going to be filling in all of these feathers with different patterns and lines and designs. So now I have created my owl's feathers. I have this big belly and big chest that I can have a lot of fun with. And the next thing I'm going to do is, before I start adding all of my smaller details, I want to make it look like my owl is sitting on a branch. So I'm going to take a line that goes from the edge of the paper and stops once you get to the owl's back. And then I'm going to jump over the owl, try and figure out where do you think the branch would continue on the other side. And I did one line, and I'm going to do another line. So try and figure out where do you think that other branch would poke out. So now it kind of looks like my owl is perched on this branch. You can also make another limb coming out of this branch. So it has a few different areas. And when I do the texture in my branches, I like to just use long lines. They can overlap to show that this is a tree with some texture. Sometimes I like to make them curving. I'll do the same over here. So these long flowy lines are great for doing texture in trees and bark and branches like that. And I'll do another limb or twig coming out right here. So now I'm gonna have a lot of fun filling in the feathers and the head with all different kinds of designs and lines. So this is one of those projects that you can really get into with smaller details. I'm going to just continue that shape that I created before. I'm going to keep doing it again and again until I get to the edge of my owl's head. And you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. You can really make it your own. You can just make up your own designs and patterns. Or you can do something different. I'm also going to add some more round shapes around the eyes. And then in here, I think I'm just going to make some little tiny lines that go around the beak. I'm actually going to fill my beak in black. I think that looks nice. And let's see if I can bring some dots up here. If you have a small thin tip Sharpie or a thin tip pen at home, this would be great to use for these small little areas where you just want to get in and put some tiny little details. But I'm just having a lot of fun with it. One pattern that I really like doing with feathers is I'm going to make a line that goes in the middle of this feather, and on this side I'll make some diagonal lines going this way, and on this side of that center line I just created, I'll make some lines going that way. And that's a really simple design that you can do in these feathers to really make it pop. And I'll do just these top 3 feathers with that design, and then I'll change it up so you can have some different ideas of what to do. Now, let's see. I'm going to change up my design. I think for these ones, I'm going to play around with some zigzags. So I'll go up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And I'm going to just continue that in a row so that this whole feather is filled with these zigzag lines. And then you stop your line once you hit the other feather. I think that looks nice. A nice zigzag. Up, down, up, down, up. And for this one, I think I'm going to do some, maybe just some little tiny lines like I did around my owl's eyes. Let's see what that looks like. Just little flicks. All in a row going up the feather. And I'll do the same thing over here to try and balance it out. So as you can see, I'm really starting to fill up the areas inside of my owl. Let's see, I think I will do I'll get some curves in here. So I'm just gonna take a long curve, the same kind of curve that I did to make that feather shape, and just continue it so it looks like almost like ripples in a pond. I'll do that again right here. And I'll do it again over here. So this is not a very realistic owl, but it's really funky and fun. Okay, let's see. I have these two feathers down here. I think I'm going to try out, I'm just going to see what happens. What happens if I just do stripes? So straight lines going right across. And I'll do that again. Maybe you have a favorite doodle pattern that you like to do. You can fill in these feathers with all these different doodles. And then in this area, I'm just going to do lots of little dots. Put some little polka dots in there for my little tail feather. And I'll fill in this area too with those little polka dots. Okay, so for this area, I'm gonna make one line that goes all the way back up here. And I'll do that again. And again. And again. A lot of repetition. And what else? I think I will